The judge, I don't know how they manage to run the whole courthouse, but they do. And as tough as we want to be, we know how to obey in the courthouse. And then on your job, as strong as you are, you know how to obey them. But when it comes to God, we have a problem with God. And yet we say we love him. That's kind of ridiculous, but our folk do it. Matthew 12:46-50, and it reads, while Jesus was still talking to the crowd, his mother and his brothers stood outside, wanting to talk or speak to him. Someone told him, your mother and brothers are standing outside, wanting to speak to you. He replied to him, who is my mother? And who are my brothers? Pointing to his disciples, he said, here are my mother and brothers. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother. You may be seated. I be wishing sometimes, I say, you know, the folk who consider music artists, they continue to write music all the time, and every now and then they might hit a gold, or they might hit platinum, or they might be on the top 5 on the music chart. And based upon where they are on the music chart, they make that much more money. If it was an actor, they rehearse what they're going to do, and it goes over months and months before they really put it on film. And then it goes to the box office, and people go and see it, and the more views they get, that's how they make their money. And then you have athletes, and based upon their skill set and their skill level, they get paid based upon how good they perform. And they practice and rehearse, and they go through rigorous training to get better. And all of those folks make millions and millions. And I said to myself, I wish, Lord, I could just stand up and hear you speak. And they just see my mouth move. I don't have to study your word, I don't have to look at your word, but you don't stop after one Sunday. You go over and over and over and over and over again. Matter of fact, I have a catalog of sermons over a 12-year period, just sitting at home. And I be saying to myself, Lord, can I say the same thing? I mean, it's been 10 years ago, they wouldn't remember that. And he takes me to that prayer. Give me my daily bread.
My Lord.
I want to have the same sermon over and over and over again when God gives you something new every morning.
All right.
But yet it gets strenuous, because when you look out and you say, now I'm going to preach what you give me. And yet, if we don't take it in, what? Why not just give you a quick, hurry up? You wouldn't know the difference if you're not studying. But something in me won't let me just give you something just raw and undone. And so it whirls and tears on you when you have to Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. I don't start on Mondays getting something for next Sunday. I start on Sundays getting ready for next Sunday. And it's not so much because of you. I want to know for myself what the Lord is telling me. And so I looked at this piece of passage here, verses 46-50. Jesus, speaking to the crowd. You can let it be. He's speaking to the crowd, which indicates Jesus in a crowd. Must have been at some worship place somewhere. Had to be church going on somewhere. Wherever Jesus is at, there's some worship going on somewhere. And while he's talking, somebody comes and tells him, Can you imagine he's preaching and somebody comes and tells Jesus while he's preaching, Jesus, your mother and brothers is outside wanting to speak to you. In the midst of him preaching, and he says, who is my mother? Who be my brothers? And he began to point to those who were in the fellowship. These, he says, my mother and my brother. Somebody comes and tells Jesus, in the midst of him preaching, no respect, no appreciation, because your mother and your brother are outside. We're going to stop you in the midst of what you're saying to tell you about folk on the outside. I want to talk from the subject today. Look who's trying to stop your praise. Observe, check, peep. Who's aiming, who's endeavoring, who's attempting to block, to heckle, to disturb, to hinder, to frustrate, to halt, to upset your acclaim, your eulogies. I know that when you hear the word eulogy or eulogize, you think it deals with the preacher at a funeral. It does, but that word really means to, watch this here, give appreciation to the person that has died.
All right, say it.
Now, the word of God says our job is to influence and to encourage the family. But you always see on programs, eulogy. Most folks have already eulogized themselves. But here it says eulogy. It says not only eulogy, watch this here, to die. Look who's trying to stop your to die, your epinos, your shabak, your expression of admiration to God. People who's attempted to halt, frustrate, block your to die, your praise, your applause to God. When you look at the text again, it says he's in worship. Your Bible wouldn't say worship, but he's in church. Your Bible wouldn't say church. So where was he? He's got a crowd of people. His disciples are with him. And he's teaching and preaching, which suggests he was probably in worship. The funny thing about it is, it had to be Sunday morning worship. I don't think that folk will disturb or interrupt Warren's singing. It wasn't a musical. People don't hardly stop and run their mouth when musicals are going on. One, because the music is too loud. But two, they just don't bother folk. You ever see anybody interrupt folk at a musical? I mean, they're singing, they're playing, and folk go up there and interrupt the music department. No, you won't see that. You won't hardly see it in Sunday school or Bible study. Ain't too many folks coming to that. Where folk will interrupt at is in worship, where preaching and teaching is going on. Look who's trying to stop your praise.
And
because you're not peeping it, you don't really recognize who it is that's trying to stop, who's trying to block, who's trying to frustrate and upset your applause to God, your approval to God. So let's see who's trying to stop your Shabbat to God. First of all, it's family. Family that are faceless. Kinfolk, blood relatives, households, race, relatives that are extended beyond the nucleus, the extended family, grands, uncles, aunts, cousins, and in-laws. Okay, you sleep on me. In-law, I-N, laws. They are in the family by law. Now, the way the marriage rate and the divorce rate is going now, you can say E-N-D, law. End of the law. Look who's trying to block your praise.
Yeah.
Family that is faceless. Faceless. Those that are nondescriptive. That means uninspiring. They are dull, dry, indifferent, uncaring, lifeless, and mundane. Still ain't getting me. Let's look at something. In Job 2, verses 9 and 10. Now, to understand chapter 2, verses 9 and 10, you have to look at chapter 1, verse 1, where God gives this biological characteristic of who Job was. He says Job was blameless. Job was upright. Job was one who feared God and shunned evil. Doesn't mean that Job did not have any errors. It doesn't mean that Job was sinless. It doesn't mean that Job didn't have any fault. God said Job was blameless. In other words, folk just couldn't put their mouth on brother Job. Not only was Job blameless, he said Job was upright. That means Job done things the right way.
All right.
But then he says Job feared God.
Yeah.
Which means Job gave respect to how he lived for God.
Yeah.
Then it says Job shunned evil. That means Job avoided doing wrong stuff. You're too slow in the pen. Let me come to your seat.
Yeah.
Job ain't like folks of 2019.
All right.
When Job saw mess going on, Job would go the other direction. Not folk in 2019. When they see mess going on, they run to mess. Just to sit back and put it on. You got it. Everything now is on their phones. They don't avoid it.
That's right.
Oh, you know that's evil going on, that's mess going on. They run to it. And what really trips me out about folk is, they'll say, they see something going on, they say, well, I ain't gonna talk, cause snitches.
Yes.
That sounds good, it rhymes. But if you really thought that, why are you feminine? Because when you put it on, there you go, it goes viral, a lot of folks see it, so in essence you are talking, but you perpetrate the fraud. I ain't gonna have to say that. Job wasn't that kind of person. God said Job ran from stuff that was wicked and evil and corrupt and bad.
Yeah.
So now you get the picture of who Job is. But then Job go through a series of storms. I mean, storm after storm after storm hits Job's house. Now listen, Job is one who trusts and believes in God. And even Job went through where his household was messed up. And Job had to deal with that personally. It was Job who was being attacked. Now we get down to chapter 2, verse 9 and 10. Who's trying to stop your praise? Family that is faithless. They are uninspiring, uncaring, indifferent. They cannot motivate you. Here it is, verse 9. Job's wife, after going through all what they went through, she finally speaks up, and this is what she tells Job. Job's wife, listen, wife, better half, other half, partner, mate, woman, bride, spouse, who should know. I mean, this is my wife. If God done told the world through the word, how Job's character was. Don't you think his wife would know how her husband is? The wife is. Somebody I said I do too. Who lay beside me every night. Who cook with me and for me. Who I go to work for. My wife says to Job, watch this here. Are you still maintaining, keeping your integrity, your truthfulness, your realness, your honesty? Curse God. Speak evil, speak bad, wrong and foul and unholy to the Creator, the divine Yahweh. Now, wait a minute. You can handle somebody else telling you that. But your other half, the one you walk down the aisle with smiling, the one you stick your chest out to brag about, her who go to work and always talking about how the husband is and how things are working, going through that. And Job's wife tell him, you're going to keep being real with God? And we're going through all of this, all the kids done died, all the money is all but gone, no more workers, and you going to keep your honesty to God? You ought to speak bad about God. You ought to curse. Now, let me bring it to your table. You ought to use those 4-letter words about God. You ought to blaspheme against God and die. Because once you do that, she had to say, no, if you do that, so what was wifey really telling her husband? She was a family member who was faithless. Job was getting his praise on. How did you know that? Well, Job come on down and says, though he slay me, though God is sending me through what he's sending me through, though it looks like God is nowhere around to help me, look like God done picked me out to pick on me, though he is killing me, When you can't say that, that means you're still on this level. You're on elementary level. If you've been walking with God over a 15-year span, you ought to be able to say, though he.
Yes, sir.
Though I lost everything. Though my family has gone astray. Though my body is racking with pain. Though folk is talking about me. Though I got fired from a job. Though I lost my home and my car. Yet will I trust it. What or who is trying to stop you from praising God?
My Lord.
Family that are faceless. Oh, they behind the scenes. See, they not going to really get in your face. They're going to be faceless. The ones in the family that's always trying to stop you are those you don't really look at every day. And then there are some you see like Job every day. And they want to encourage you. Why are you going to church? Matter of fact, this morning, oh, it's raining and cold. I forgot I was in the pulpit. I almost went there. It's going to rain tomorrow. And be cold tomorrow. And you'll still get up. And don't have no doctor. You might counsel that. Don't have no food stamp appointment. Can't hardly counsel them. You going to go in the rain. So listen, there are always family who tells you, man, I wouldn't be doing all that. I wouldn't be going no evening. You already went one time.
All right.
Who's trying to stop you from praising God? Family. Let me see here. Let me see. How is it that family can stop you or try to stop you from praising God when you know what God done been to you? I'm not talking about what mama told me. I'm not talking about what dad and grandmama told me. I'm talking about what I have experienced. When nobody was around me and I was talking to the Lord And God is the one that brought me through. How can I dare listen to family members? Mama, daddy, children, cousins, brothers, sisters. I dare listen to you. In-laws, I dare listen to you when you don't know how good God has been.
Oh, yes. Yes.
See, it's personal.
Yes.
Other folk can't tell you what God done for you.
That's right.
But you ought to know
Amen.
if it hasn't been.
Yes.
Ought not be ashamed. Quit acting like God ain't
My
done
God, my
nothing.
God.
Let me come to your seat again.
Ha.
You probably shouldn't have been here like me.
Ha.
But somehow or another, God just kept watching over us
Yes. Yes.
all night long.
Yes.
He did not let hurt, harm, nor danger.
Ha.
Here's a preacher just the other day, and we're going to pray for him.
Yeah.
Had a church in Sand Branch,
Yes.
Mount Zion, lived in Cedar Hill.
Yes.
House burned up, him, the wifey, and one of the kids.
Yes.
All but dead. The other two was in the house and got out. You can't tell me God
Ha.
ain't a good God.
Oh, my
Even
God.
in spite of that,
Glory God.
all wasn't lost.
Yeah.
Daughter in college. Now she had to deal with it. What in the world?
My Lord.
Can you imagine if
Jesus.
she's the preacher's daughter.
All right.
She's in college trying to get her a degree. And she get the sad news. Daddy, mama,
My Lord.
sister,
Oh, Jesus.
My Lord.
and the house is destroyed. Well, she probably between the age of 18 and 22. Do you think that she's not looking at God and saying, Lord, why? I've been praising you.
Yeah, Lord.
Oh, I believe in you.
Oh, Jesus.
That's what Job's wife was saying.
Yeah.
Why are you still going to trust God? And God done all that to us.
Jesus.
Look at it. All 10 of the kids are dead and gone. And you going to still be faithful
Yeah.
Oh, my
to God? Job says to her, look what Job says to her in verse 10. You're talking like a foolish woman.
Yep.
A wife, a lady, a spouse who reject, who's incompetent, who's amateurish, which means amateur, unwise, unfit, useless, hopeless, pathetic, unsaved, lost to God. You are talking like a woman who's not saved.
Well.
He goes on to say, watch what he says next. Shall we receive good from God and not trouble, distress, problems, and difficulty? In all of this, what Job was going through, he did not sin with his mouth. Job's wife must have forgot Job 14:1. It says a mortal, a person, a human that is born of another human, is of a few days
Yes.
and full of trouble. That means you're going to have some trouble. Quit acting like it's new to you. If you were born of another human being,
Yes.
it's of a few days and full. You're going to get plenty of that. You might not live a long time, but in the short time that you live, and I live, we're going to have some difficult moments.
Well.
Oh, let me help you again then. You can trip, you can flip, and you can rip. As the old folk would say, who did not have very much education, it tells what it tells. You gonna have some trouble in this life, and you can't hide behind everything. Oh, I know y'all know. Church wall don't mean you ain't gonna have no troubles. See, there are some folk running the church when they are in trouble, and they think just because they come to church, all of a sudden all trouble is gone. No, 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 no. And if you telling folks that, quit telling them that lie. Just because you come to church don't mean trouble gonna cease. And that's why you see folk come and go. I thought the Lord would go. That ain't how he operates. Sometimes he allows trouble to come so he can help us to grow. Quit getting upset with trouble. It's there to, now I'm not telling you to run to it, but there's moments where God allowed it to come to you. I remember when I was younger coming up, I was always been kind of orthodox, out of the box, whatever, and folk would tell me, because I was kind of, this out there. And folk would tell me, now boy, don't go get in no trouble. And I smile and turn around and say, no, don't let trouble get in me. I'm not going to get in trouble unless in trouble. Come on here and talk to me. You ain't going to do what you do unless it is in you to do. Folk that do stuff, they don't just wake up all of a sudden and say, oh, I guess I'll go. No! It's in you. That's why you do. To talk crazy to folk, it's in you. To lie,
It's in you.
like diabetes, it's in you.
Yeah.
You only gonna do what's. If you selfish, it's.
It's in you.
If you generous, it's.
In you.
If you affront, it's.
In you.
What you do comes out of you. The Bible says it's not what goes in
Woo.
that defiles the body.
Yeah.
It's what comes up out of.
Yeah.
Because it generates from the heart.
Yes.
So who is it that tried to block and heckle and interrupt my praise to God? Family that is faceless. And I know you thinking, oh no, my family, okay, keep thinking it. Trust me, there's somebody in all of our families that's gonna try, if they ain't already, try to stop you from praising.
Yes.
I had a young man told me not too long ago. He said, man, folk was asking me, why do you keep running down to that church? And he really couldn't give a profound answer to him. He just said, because I like it. I just like going to that little small church down there on the corner called Independent. Man, you could be going to Friendship West. You could be going to Outlook. You could be going to, why do you keep running? They only got about 5 people. And the preacher's kind of crazy. Why do you keep running down there? I just like it. And what he's really saying is, I'm not going down there just to be going down there.
Right.
There's something in me.
Yeah.
And it's something there that keeps drawing me
Yes.
to that place. Just like all of us. You pass by churches that come to Independent.
Yes.
It ain't because you are a senior citizen here.
Yeah.
It's something that keeps bringing you.
Yes.
My Lord.
In you.
Yes.
And it keeps, every time, I know you have because I've been there. I ain't going no more. And you can't wait to Sunday
Well.
to get here.
That's it.
Now, family on the, you crazy.
Yeah.
How they talk about you. The preachers always tell them this for me. I don't know your business,
That's it.
You tell me.
but I do know who know your business.
That's it.
I know my business.
Yeah.
And every time I open that book,
Yeah.
guess who else business I see? I see ya. It's everywhere.
That's right.
Everything. My son tell me all the time, there you gonna kill yourself.
Yes.
That's why you crazy, Daddy.
Yes.
You just stand the book.
Yep.
I said, you know they got other books I can read? But all those books stem from.
Yeah.
If you want to know how family are, it's in the book.
Yeah.
Jesus' mama.
That's right.
We're not talking about Steph. His biological mom, Ben, and his brothers did not come in church. They was on the outside, wanting him to stop preaching and come see what they want. Ain't that something? Family that are faceless.
Yeah.
You would think mama running there to be supported.
Yep.
My son ain't out on drugs.
Yeah.
My son ain't out there wild. He's trying to do something positive.
Yeah.
Yet mama on the outside. In essence, stop preaching and come see what I want. No, mama. You need to come here where I'm at.
That's it.
So Jesus says, well, who? Who is my mother? And who be my brothers? These that are in the fellowship
Yeah.
with me. Now, I know you're saying to yourself, that will show root of Jesus. Well, let me help you see what he was really saying. Let me exegete this thing. When Jesus asked, who is my mother and who are my brothers, pointing toward his disciples, his followers, and saying, look, my mother and my brother. Jesus was not refuting. He was not denying. He was not rejecting. He was not neglecting. He was not renouncing or giving up on his responsibility to his earthly family. No, that wasn't what he was doing. Watch this here. He had already provided for his mother. You ready? He provided for his mother when he hung on Calvary. And his mother and brothers was with him, present in the upper room doing, you ready? His mother and brother was in the upper room when Pentecost came. He provided for his mother, even though he had passed. He done it living and he done it in his death. He took care of his family while he was living and in his death. So he wasn't tripping on, don't look out for family. No, that wasn't even the issue. But he was criticizing, watch this, the religious leaders. Now understand, religious leaders are religious people versus saved people. A lot of folks are religious folks. They go to work religiously. That means all the time. It's a routine. They come to church religiously.
Yeah.
But they are not saved. Saved is what gets you in heaven.
Yeah.
Not being
Yes.
religious. So Jesus started criticizing the religious leaders because they did not, watch me now, follow the Old Testament commandment of honoring your parents. Regardless of how old you get, you still honor. That was a law.
Right.
So he's criticizing the religious leaders because of that. But then check this out. Jesus was also emphasizing that spiritual relationships are as binding, as permanent, as required, as unavoidable, and mandatory, and lasting. Spiritual relationship is as lasting, as mandatory, as physical relationship. Family. He says spiritual is as mandated as physical family. So then he goes on to say this here. And he was paving, which means opening and facilitating and preparing the way for a new community of believers. The universal church. The spiritual family. So we think biological family is more important than spiritual. And Jesus was saying, listen, just as much important as your physical, your spiritual family is just as important.
Yes.
And how you treat your physical family, you're going to treat your spiritual the same way. How you treat your spiritual, you're going to treat your physical the same way. How you treat folk at home is how you're going to treat folk at church. It is what it is. You can trip, flip, and rip it. It ain't going to change truth. Oh, this ain't none of me talking. This is the Lord talking. So he says, who is it that's trying to stop your praise? Family that is faithless. But not only family that are faithless, watch this one here. Secondly, friends that are fake. confidants, buddies, pals, close associates, in Spanish, amigos, comrades, in Facebook lingo, you ready? BF. And some that mean boyfriend and others that mean best. Somebody know that thing. There are shams, fiction, imposters, bogus, hoax, a joke, a trick, frenemy. Now you do know what frenemy is. Frenemy is one who is friendly despite elementary dislike. They smile and giggle and laugh, and all the time they despise you. They hate you. But they smile like, oh, they friendly. Hey, best friend, how you doing? And all the time, they don't care a jack. They are the ones who attempt to stop your praise. The enemy ain't over here by you. Who's close to you? Family and friends. Who you invite to your picnics? Family and friends. You're not going to invite somebody who's been shooting at you. You're going to invite family. You get married. Who you going to send the invite to? Family and friends. So who is it that's trying to block your praise? Family. Talk to me here. Those that the song says, smile in your face. Woo! That's the song. And we hear it and don't understand. There are folk that you work with. Smiling in your face. All the time trying to get you fired.
Yep, that's it.
Friends come over to the house, smiling in your face, and winking and blinking at your husband and your wife. Friends! Those you trust.
Well,
I think of one brother said in that blues song, I wish you wouldn't trust me.
that's right.
You don't know, man, I'm watching your old lady. I wish you didn't put all your trust in me. They will try and stop your praise. Friends. They'll come by your house on Sunday. Ain't came through there all week, but Sunday you get ready. They call it. What are you doing? You already know what I'm doing. I'm getting ready to go worship. Every Sunday, every Monday, every Tuesday, every Sunday, you'll get them in. Every Wednesday, every Sunday, every Saturday. You go out every Saturday, don't you? Every Saturday, you getting ready to go to the Jew joint. But you hating on me going to praise. Ain't that something? Because I understand. Monday, he brought me through.
My Lord.
Tuesday,
My Lord.
he brought me through. Wednesday, he brought me through. Thursday, he brought me through. Friday, he brought me through. Saturday, he brought me through. Sunday, every minute. And you understand that, then you ain't my friend no way.
My Lord.
My friend don't understand. He gonna be, what? We can't catch him on the phone. If you want to catch him, Sunday morning, go down to 6800. I guarantee you'll catch him. Man, I've been calling you. You haven't, well, come to church. I bet you get me in. Friends are those who try to stop your praise. They gonna throw a party Saturday. No, you gotta get up early Sunday. Come on, take you another. It's okay. It's next.
It's all right.
Ain't got nothing real strong in there. Like Kool-Aid. And there you go smiling. And they play your favorite song. And you already know you struggle on Saturdays anyway.
All right.
Why would I go to a party and get my drink on and get home at 3 and don't lay down to 5 and then think I'm going to be able to get up Sunday at 6, 7, 8 and make it to the worship place and be functional? I ain't. I'm going to come in there because one thing about alcohol I noticed, it'll keep you off balance. You ain't going to be stable when you come off a drunk. Your stomach be barking.
Your head is bouncing, and your lips are tight. But you come and praise God. Why? I ain't go. Look here, man. If you want to invite me somewhere, invite me to Friday. Call me on Fridays. I got Saturday to recuperate. No, church folk ain't go on Saturdays. That's when all the folks show up. It's gonna work on you.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
How do you know? Because I've been there. Messed up. Tried to go because I couldn't praise God. I'm mad at everybody that say hello to me because I'm coming to church.
Yeah!
And my head is hurting. And I'm trying to pop me some Adlib and some Tylenol, and it wasn't working fast enough. But as soon as I got to church, everything leveled off.
Yes.
I said, why didn't you wait for me at church? Because it didn't supposed to.
Yeah.
That's why he tells us in his word, God is what? Spirit.
Yes,
sir. And they that worship must do it.
Spirit.
He didn't say in some spirits. He said in the Spirit. You can't have those other because you're going to be thrown off. And it's hard to praise him when you are messed up in here.
Yeah.
You're worried about everything else. Just dead. Family. You can't motivate nobody. You can't encourage nobody. Because you did.
Yep.
I've never seen somebody dead encourage somebody dead. Go out to DFW and stand around there looking for encouragement.
Ain't gonna happen.
And let me know what they do. Go out to Laurel Land, just stand around there and look for encouragement. It ain't gonna
Happen.
You know, it's funny because I went to Laurel Land a few times, crazy. And I thought I was talking to Mama. Yeah, I'm standing there talking. And I discovered I wasn't talking to him. I was talking to me.
Yeah.
And folks say, you crazy. I am. I was talking to me and answering me.
Yeah.
If you going to the cemetery and you talking to somebody that ain't there, you got all the sense in the world, don't you? You crazy too. Because they ain't there. So who are you talking to? You're talking about when they was living.
That's right.
But we do it. We go beautify. Now that's cute to beautify the cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
But to go out there and talk to folk, sit down, cross your legs. You know, if they respond, you won't be that long. Talk to me here. But you look, that's family. I'm just so in love with. If they mess around there and respond, let me tell you about your pastor. I ain't scared, but I know how to run.
Yeah!
Help me here, Holy Ghost. So he says, friends that are phony. Matthew 26, 47 through 50. While Jesus was still speaking, Judas, one of the 12 disciples, arrived, and with him was a large crowd armed with swords and clubs, sent from the chief priests and elders of the people. Now the betrayer had arranged a sign or a signal with them. He says, the one I kiss, the one I greet is the man. Arrest him, 49. Going at once to Jesus. Now listen, Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane.
Yeah.
Now, he's been there before.
Yeah.
Most of his disciples, or all of them, know where he hang out. The only folk that knows where you hang out is folk that know about you, that hang with you. So here comes Judas. Now, before Judas get there, it was Mark. Now, you don't know Mark. Mark was one who was sleeping. And Jesus had a habit of going to their house to do communion. And so they had just left Mark's house doing communion. And now he's heading to Gethsemane. Well, the soldiers goes to Mark's mother's house. And they are looking for Jesus. And all the commotion done busted out. So Mark didn't really hang with Jesus. But when all the commotion broke out and they started leaving, Mark jumps up. Some say grab a sheet and wrap it around him. Others say pajamas out of garment. And so he's falling in because he don't know where Jesus is, because why? he wasn't hanging with Jesus. The only one that know where you are is folk who hang with you. They get to the garden and Judas has already told them, now I'm going to give y'all a sign. Thinking he's slick. The one I go kiss, a formal greeting, that's him. Grab him. So he goes up to Jesus. Now, it's some more folk in the garden, but he goes to Jesus. And look what he does. He goes to Jesus and he says, greeting, Rabbi. And they said, hello, teacher, and kissed him. And watch what Jesus does. Jesus replied, do what you came to do, friend. In the pillar, move with me. Jesus calls Judas. You came and kissed me. I already know who you are. He says, do what you came to do. Friend. Well, friend, comrade, colleague, ally. You ready? The antonym for, let me help you out. The antonym for, if I told you up, you would say what?
Down.
The antonym for wide is what? Big is what? Small. Tall is short. Pretty is nasty is good. Sour is sweet. Friend is enemy. Do what you came to do, friend. I didn't call you enemy, but in essence, I know who you are. He didn't have to cuss him out. He didn't have to fight him. All he said was, do what you came to do. Friend. Because I know you wasn't with me. Ain't that something? You come here. Dr. King, Martin Luther, had folk around him every day. The system could not get the King. The FBI, what's his name? That boy Hoover. He couldn't get the King. So what he done was he had folks to infiltrate. And they worked on those who hung with King. We're not talking about, come here, we are not talking about world folk. We're talking about church folk. All them boys were preachers. Still ain't getting this thing. You think just because they preach, oh, they are crazy too. Right there with King every day. Eating with him, laughing. Matter of fact, the day he got killed, they had just been pillow fighting. Ain't that something? When you see kids, they're having fun, right? When you see girls doing it, doing what? Having fun. When you see men doing it, you know they're having fun. Because men don't hardly pillow. Come on here. That's right. That's right. That's right. So we love each other enough to be pillow fighting. Do what you came to do. Friend.
My Lord.
And then they grabbed Jesus. The Bible says seized. They snatched him. Then they arrested him. That means they apprehended him. Ain't that something? Who the one brought him to Jesus? The same one that sat down and was eating with me. The same one I prayed for. The same one who hung with me. Who's trying to stop your praise? Friends. That are fake. We all got some. You know it. You have them at the house this evening, so they'd have waiting on you now to get out. Wouldn't come to church with you, but they'll be at your house this evening because they're afraid that are phony. They look real, they talk real, but really, they ain't all that. Matthew 16:21 through 23. Watch this one here. Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go through Jerusalem. Watch this here. He telling the disciples, I must go through Jerusalem, or go to Jerusalem, and suffer, encounter, endure many things at the hands, the control of the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law. Church folk. Elders, chief priests, and teachers of the law.
and that I must be killed and on the third day raised to life. This was his God-given mission, his admiration to God, his praise to the Father. And 22, Peter, his associate, his crony, his colleague, his teammate, took him aside and began to rebuke him, expressing sharp disapproval and criticized and knocked Jesus. Never, Lord, Peter said, this shall never happen to you. And Jesus turned to Peter and said, get behind me. My friend, get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block. How many of us can tell our friends that are fake? Get behind me, devil. You are a hindrance. I ain't gonna, no, because the Bible say be sweet. Be nice. You ain't being nice. Tell your friends that are fake. Get behind me. You trying to block what I'm trying to do for God. Can we tell them that? Because they'll stop trying to stop you if you let them know who they are. He said, you are handicapped. You are an obstacle to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns. It was God's purpose for the Lord to die as an atonement for sin. And those who tried to prevent, interrupt, heckle, stop, they were doing, watch this here, Satan's work. Anybody who tried to stop you from praising God is really doing the devil's work.
Yeah, all right.
And we sang that song, don't let him ride, don't let him ride. Well, you looking at the devil in terms of pitchfork and long tail. But there are some friends who are fake, who are doing Satan's bidding for him toward you. So who's trying to stop our praise for God? Family that are faceless.
That's right.
Friends that are fake. And then lastly, foes who are fearful. Enemies, opponents, adversaries, haters, arch rivals who are petrified, afraid, frightened, and scared. The enemy is scared. That's why he do what he does. He's fearful of your praise to God because he knows when you praise God, when you give God some glory, God has a way of raining down some big blessings on your